Dub.
Heyo, and welcome back to another Drought&Proud episode. My name's Chris.
And my name is Sean Keisha. I'm
Anne Hathaway.
Exactly. And we have a special guest here today.
Chicken!
Yes, we have a live chicken here today, and she's going to cluckety-cluck her way into your hearts by the end of this episode.
That's right.
So, this is actually our friend Loretta. Just thought, it's for anybody who doesn't know,
And
Loretta is a chicken.
She's now obviously she's not a real-life chicken, but she can sometimes be sort of a cock.
Hey, whoa.
Watch it, buddy.
It's true.
Yeah, no, I'm watching it.
He's not wrong.
So I'm pretty sure you guys all know what happened Tuesday night, for those of you who listen to us in America. And for that one guy in Argentina that listens, it was the election of the United States' new president. But because we're too original to just drag on about that, we're probably going to try and avoid it. But as you guys know from the last episode, Chris and I were working those polls. You know, it was a hard-fought 15-hour day. We were standing up most of the time. Sometimes we were upside down. We were rarely wearing any clothes. But we worked those polls for 15 gosh diddly dang hours.
Was it 15 in total?
It was, yeah, a little over 15.
Okay.
5 a.m. to 8 p.m.? Wouldn't you stay after 8
6
p.m.?
to 9.
Ooh.
Yeah, 6 to 9:40.
How did you survive?
Ew.
I don't know. Honestly, when we got home, we were pretty much dead.
Touching all those people made me feel very uncomfortable by the end of the day.
I feel it.
I don't mean touching the people. I meant more as in, like,
More as
directing
like
them.
the people touching you. You know, the people touching you was the worst part.
I didn't touch anyone, I swear.
All right. Well,
Nick, you said you had a story about the polls. Why don't you go ahead and tell that?
I mean, I guess. All right. So we were sitting here, and we're just, you know, like, oh, thank you for voting, blah, blah. You're a good American. You did your civic duty. You know, yeah, those people that don't vote are trash. Woo, or whatever, right? And so this guy comes up, and he just finished voting, and so he hands us his card, and we were like, all right, thanks. And, you know, he goes to slide it into the machine. The machine doesn't take it. And at first I'm like, oh, just pull back on the red slip, and, you know, just let it pull it in. And he's like, okay. And he's getting, like, frustrated with the fact that, like, it's not working. And so we look at him and we go, maybe you mismarked something, so why don't you go back and make sure you didn't mark anything twice? And so, you know, he goes back and he comes back and he goes, oh, I messed up on this one. And he was like, what do I have to do?
At that point, I had to take the ballot that he had filled out, go out, and then write spoiled on it because he had spoiled the ballot, and I had to get him a new one. So I had done all that, and I gave it to him, and you hear him walk to the back, and he's just like, ugh.
Yeah, and this guy's freaking out. And so when he hands him the new ballot, he goes, oh, God, and this is just me quoting him here, so don't get mad at me. And he's just like, oh, man, of all the retarded things I could do, God damn it. And he walks away and he storms off into the back, you know, and he starts filling out his new ballot. And he is huffing and puffing, and you can hear him from the other side of the room huffing and puffing while he's voting. He's like, oh, God damn it. Oh, democracy. And he comes back, and we take it, and the machine accepts it this time. And as he's walking away, Chris looks at him, he smiles, and he goes, oh, don't you want a sticker? And the guy goes, have one, and storms out of the freaking building.
He's all mad. He's like, ugh. And, like, he was going to kill me. Like, I saw it in his eyes. He has the eyes of murder right there in front of me.
Yes, it was Jack Nicholson in The Shining. You know, he was sitting there voting, and he, you know, busted through the little cover and was like, here's democracy, or whatever the guy's name was.
His name's Democracy.
Exactly.
I won't lie, I was sweating a little bit when I voted.
Why?
It was kind of scary. I don't know.
How is that scary? You're taking place in
Okay,
the
it wasn't
democratic
scary,
process.
but the room that I was in was hella tiny, and I had to sit next to this fat guy, and he
Oh,
was
no,
making
fat
me
people.
uncomfortable.
Fat people in America?
And
Dear Lord.
He made the table shake. He was like scratching so hard in his little bubbling answers. I was like, don't you know how to use a Scantron? Relax.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, were you sitting down when you were voting?
Yeah, I was sitting and he was standing, like hovering.
He's just watching. He's all like, hey, what's going on? We also had another person that came in when we were doing the things. He was this Asian guy, and he came in. Nick, you want to start talking about that? I don't remember how it starts. I just remember that he came in and he just was like,
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so at least what we did here in an unnamed city in California was that you would work the precinct that you lived in basically, and so Chris and I, of course, being neighbors, were in the same precinct, and so we were in there, and then there was another guy that we had never met before, but the precinct we had wasn't very big, and we only had one precinct, and so all these people were coming in, and they were like our neighbors and like people we grew up with, like people we knew,
Yep.
right? And so this Asian guy comes in, and the guy we're working with knows him, and he's like, "Hey, Montoya," or whatever the guy's name is, and the guy's making all these jokes or whatever, and so we hand this guy his ballot, and we're like, "Oh, use any booth you want," and he goes, "Oh, which one's the best one for cheating?" And we were like, "Excuse us?" And he's like, "Well, I want to cheat on the test, right? Like, my life depends on this. If I get a B, my mom's gonna kill me." Yeah, and this dude's like 60, and he walks over and he pulls out his thing. And we're all like, "Oh, you're all done?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got number 4 right."
Dad jokes.
Seriously though, the guy was a hoot.
Yeah, he was crazy.
Hoot
I'm
and a
so glad
half.
that you told that story because I could not have told it better myself.
Yeah, and a kid came in one time, and he it was probably his first time voting. Kid probably was just turned 18, and so he voted. And after
the night was done,
Yeah,
we had to count up all the ballots.
Yeah, we had to count up all the ballots. But when the kid slid his ballot into the machine, I had seen what he had voted because he pulled his secrecy slip too far back. And this kid, instead of voting for a candidate, wrote in Harambe, right? This 18-year-old kid. And later on, actually today, this kid walks by our house, because he's one of our neighbors, and I wanted to say, "Hey, you voted for Harambe." But he was like with his dad or something, and I feel like his dad would beat him.
His dad would have been so mad. He would have been all like, "What's wrong with you taking advantage of the democratic process?"
That's probably why he voted for Harambe, because he gets beat at home.
Oh.
I do have a little tiny story though. When I went into the polling place to do my my voting thing, my mom looked at me. She was like, "Really? What are you wearing?" I went in and I wore like a tie-dye shirt with a bunch of cats on it. And so she was like, "You look like you're really about to vote for that marijuana thing." I was like, "Well, I mean..."
Loretta, don't you dare speak your opinion. Don't you dare.
Yeah, I'm a
Apparently,
woman. I have no opinions. So.
Every time we speak our opinion, someone gets mad. Not gonna mention who, but you know who you are.
Yeah. But the point is, I went in looking like a teenager, and she got really pissed off.
See, when I go to vote, I'm going to get all dressed up. I'm going to put on a suit, and I'm going to be like, "Yeah, this is my first time voting." And they're going to hand me a ballot, and they're going to say, "Should we just hand you the Republican ballot?" And I'd be like, "What, you're assuming because I'm white and wealthy that I vote Republican? What the hell?"
Yes.
Oh, I mean, okay. The election happened, and I'm trying hard not to make any comments about the outcome because
it doesn't matter. In all honesty, like, I don't think it matters that much, but it does, but it doesn't. Does that make sense?
I feel it.
I don't want people to think that I didn't care about the entire election, because I do care about what happened, but now that it has happened, it doesn't really, like, there's nothing we can do, so there's no point in talking about it.
Go with the flow.
I will say one thing. He is now president-elect, excuse me, and no matter how you felt about Donald Trump or any of his policies, even if you hated him and if you were literally willing to cut off his ears and then sell them to, I don't know, people and murder his whole family, now that he is president-elect, you, as an American, should support him, because if your president fails, then the country fails. So that's all I have to say. Try and be positive about it. Don't freak out. We've had worse things happen. It's whatever.
Yeah. So, gonna start talking about something else. Let's talk about our comedies.
Our comedies.
Let's talk about our humor
Our
and our
sense
humor
of
limits,
humor.
because we obviously talk about a lot of hilarious things that happened
Now,
during this election.
You know what? With this election, a lot of things have been said, a lot of things have been done, and I feel like people have been really kind of oversensitive about some things. And they've been kind of offended by things that I don't really think people should be getting offended by. And I'm not saying that necessarily it's all from the election, but I think lately in America we've kind of had this culture of playing the victim and kind of kind of just being offended by nothing.
I don't know what you're saying. What are you talking about?
And I think this is a really good example of this is probably Papa Humongous.
Oh.
Humongous what?
And if you guys haven't seen the video, there's a guy, and his name isn't really Humongous, but this feminist lady like wants to know his name because she's angry at him, and the guy he's a father and he thinks of a dad joke and he says Humongous, his name. And she's like, what's your name? And he goes, Humongous. And she goes,
it's so cool.
Humongous what? Humongous what?
Really? Did you just point at your body parts and say that your name was humongous?
Yeah, and this lady starts yelling and screaming, and she's like, "This man is sexually harassing me!" And then she's like yelling at him. She's not touching him, granted, but she is making a big scene and making him seem like some sort of pedophile or something. And she's like, "You are a disgusting person." And then like the security comes and like tries to escort her out of the building, and she's like, "Why aren't you stopping the man who sexually assaulted me?"
Ma'am, can you please just keep it down?
Yeah, the dude's being hella chill, super calm.
Can we be quiet for like 2 minutes, please?
What's it called? She was just like, she went over the top to try and get like this man in trouble or something like that, and then she gets mad when people aren't doing all this stuff, and then she releases another video that was actually just recent, just telling people that if people call you crazy, that they're just attacking your individuality. And I'm all like, that's not okay. That'll just make more people come up, and they'll be all like, whoa, no, you're just trying to make me not an individual, because that's what makes me me.
Internalized oppression.
Exactly.
Man, if you don't watch H3H3, go ahead and watch him, man.
We can just tag H3H3 in this video just because of that.
Sure.
We can tag Donald Trump, too.
We'll,
Get all
we'll
the fans.
put that in the random video. It won't be random.
But, I don't know. Do we have a right to be offended? I mean, I believe that we have a right to be offended as Americans, or, because it's freedom. We have freedom of speech. And so if something we find offensive is offensive, we can be like, hey, that's offensive. But at the same time, just because we're offended by something, that doesn't mean the world stops and everybody's like, hold on a second, guys. Loretta's offended. Let's put down that KKK flag.
Pump the brakes, man. Pump the brakes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's your right to be offended by something, but you really don't need to make a scene out of it.
Social justice warriors, just they take things like a little bit too far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's perfectly okay to have hurt feelings, but then if you turn around and like retaliate and try to attack someone, I feel like that's unnecessary.
I mean, I don't get offended very easily. There are some things that offend me, but usually I'm kind of like, all things are cool as long as like you don't actually mean it, And I think maybe that doesn't mean anything because I'm white, male, and Caucasian. and
Check your privilege, Nick.
Yeah, honestly, and so I feel like because of that, what I say often doesn't have the same impact as if, like, if I were a minority, then people would be like, wow, look at this. This is, this is a black guy saying that you should still be nice to police officers or whatever. But, and I don't know. Maybe that's another problem with our society, is that just because it's somebody that you assume hasn't like experienced problems in their life, then what they say suddenly means nothing.
Oh my god, do you remember that terrible security guard? When we were hanging out at that school parking lot and he pulled up next to us, he was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Nick goes, just chilling. He's like, okay, later. He leaves.
I wasn't there.
It totally looked like we were doing like a drug deal, but because Nick said, oh no, we're just chilling, he was like, oh, okay, cool. Leaving.
I mean, it's helpful sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't really get in trouble, but like when I want it to like not matter, it seems to always matter.
Nothing matters.
Just talking about the election, I want to say that, do you remember when we went to the comedy night for the get the kids to vote at that thing at the school? I remember that. I could use that as a segue into the thing that I mentioned earlier that has somehow become irrelevant. Let's talk about our comedies and our limits to comedy.
Well, I think connecting that to being offended with comedy, should you really draw a line? with comedy because I feel like yeah, other people can get offended, but in a society, you being offended shouldn't affect
Mhm.
anything really.
There are a lot of things that you see, especially on like the internet, where like a lot of people would get really mad at certain things, where like it's a little bit too far or something like that, but it's hilarious to other people. And if people are gonna be going against stuff like that, and they're gonna be fighting stuff like that, like what's the point of making something and putting it on the internet where you're able to put stuff wherever? If you get mad at something that you find on the internet, you just shouldn't be on the internet.
True.
True.
Yes. I feel like comedy really should be like no holds barred.
Mhm.
You
Well,
know, as long as you're speaking to the audience that like appreciates it.
I
Like
feel
don't
like
walk up into a church and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna crucify you" or something stupid
I
like
feel
that.
like it depends on the place. And like yeah, what you were saying, like you're not gonna go to like a preschool and tell like sex jokes in front of a whole bunch of like
Why not?
because the little kids would,
Kids should know about sex.
but they
There's
wouldn't
nothing wrong
laugh.
with
It
sex.
wouldn't be
That's how
funny
they
to them.
were made.
Loretta, you're a chicken. Chickens don't have sex.
Whatever, guys. Okay. I'm telling all the preschoolers that parents have sex and that's how babies are made.
Disgusting. You're ruining
Knock
children's
knock.
dreams.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Sex.
Reality.
Whoa. I think some things that shouldn't be what Mr. Wright says. He says when you talk to someone you shouldn't talk about religion or
Yeah, it's
or
religion
or
politics.
just right out the gate. And I'm like, I agree with that, like to a certain extent. Like you shouldn't be able to just go up to someone and be all like, hey, I don't disagree, I disagree, and I do this and I do that. Like those are personal preferences that you keep to yourself for a little while, unless you feel comfortable sharing them, you know. But the other person should also be comfortable, you know.
Yeah, I feel it. I mean, I honestly don't even feel comfortable speaking politics with my mother. So,
I think comedy should go a certain way also. Like write comedy for your audience, and
exactly. Yeah,
a
know
better
your
thing to
audience.
do that with is like your audience will laugh too. They'll get it, you know?
I don't know. I think it's different the way you use comedy. Like some people tell jokes to like make people laugh, but some
Mhm.
people tell jokes to like deal with their problems. It's like a coping mechanism. So
Mm.
you can't really write rules for a therapeutic outlet.
I feel it. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But I mean, I still kind of feel like there are some things that like you shouldn't joke about. You know, I don't know, like pedophilia.
Yeah, that's kind of
Ugh.
gross.
Like
It's
don't
just like cringe.
yeah, and,
Cringy jokes.
rape jokes. Probably
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't make jokes about that. But I mean, other than that,
Christ.
I'll say something. Fart jokes are always funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Poopy jokes.
Like there's not one comedian in the world that will admit that fart jokes are not funny.
I mean, I don't know. Like Mike Myers' entire career is fart jokes.
One big fart joke.
He had his one big fart joke. He's just like, get out of my swamp. Just in every role that he plays.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Oh my god.
Quoting Kanye, running
Hey,
for president
guys,
in 2020.
yeah, 2020. Yeezy. It's Yeezy season.
I mean, people make jokes about 9/11, you know,
Yeah.
which is
Well-
kind of fucked up.
I mean, that's kind of dealing with how you process things.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, some kids get like beat up and they're like, oh, hey, remember that one time I got beat up? And they make a joke out of it. But you're like, hey, that's not funny. But they're like, no, this is how I'm dealing with it.
Mhm.
I
Like-
feel it.
I get it. There are some people that are on the internet that do the same thing, you know? Like, they make videos about suicide when they're suicidal.
Yeah.
Haha, this is supposed to be fun, guys.
It's like, get it? It's funny because it's true.
I mean,
I
I'm
mean-
not gonna say I've never joked about cutting myself or killing myself.
But you do it like on an hourly basis.
It's not an hourly basis, Loretta. God, you make me want to kill myself sometimes. Jeez, always just
Oh, God.
mothering me. God, it's like you care or some shit.
Fine. I'm just gonna stop caring.
Hey,
Good. Be like the rest of the people in my life.
I had an idea.
What?
Let's talk about Breaking Bad. 'Cause
Yes!
Most of us have already seen it.
Oh, so okay, so you guys already know how Breaking Bad ends, right? At the very
Hey,
last
no,
part-
stop. I haven't finished it yet.
So, Loretta, my little brother, and I have all been watching Breaking Bad throughout this past year, and Loretta's almost done with it. We're getting into season 5. We started watching season 5 for most of today, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Skylar got in that swimming pool. I want to know if she's gonna die or not. Don't leave it in the comments, because I swear to God I'll kill myself.
Will you read the comments?
I read all of your comments.
Oh.
I keep up with the podcast, guys.
See, people...
That's because nobody comments anything, you know?
I comment on almost all of your videos.
You've commented on like 3.
You had like 3.
You know who we
Oh.
haven't seen in a while is the Lasermouth.
What?
Yeah, Lasermouth, that
Yeah.
that person that listens to our podcast. They
Where'd
talk
you go?
about us.
Where'd you go, buddy? Did you die? Shout out to you. You know? We won't be able to do this when we're big and famous, but for
Apparently, we're supposed to know who you are, because you've.
I
Tried
thought that was supposed to be a Breaking Bad reference. I was
No,
so
no.
lost.
now. So, Breaking Bad.
Oh
It's a
wait,
great
that
show.
that skinny meth head guy, skinny
Yeah.
penis. He
Mhm.
plays the piano, and I'm really impressed. I like him now.
Yeah, I thought now the deeper part of that though, right? You know, it's not just there to be like, oh look, he has talent, but it's saying that the guy is like he's like
Passionate about something.
yeah, and he's like a savant with
Mhm.
music, but his whole like life track got screwed up by meth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of hit me hard. I don't know if it matters to anybody else, but I was just like, damn, this dude could have been something.
I
But then
thought
he
it was
like,
beautiful. Meth.
yeah.
Drugs.
Drugs are cool. Just do 'em at school. Everybody else who doesn't is a fool.
I
Fucking
could have been
drugs.
Beethoven, but
You
then
know-
I did meth.
You always talk to people about Breaking Bad, and you never hear that one person that says, like, you never hear anybody that says Breaking Bad was just awful. It was just terrible. And I think that's just because Breaking Bad had like such a good story, and all the people were great, and everything was good. But like, I can't think of anybody that I've talked to about the show that said it was bad. You know?
True.
Like, I don't know. I like the whole development of the teacher and the guy, and he's all nice and everything like that, and then like he changes, and now he's a meth
Yeah.
head, and now he's crazy.
He's not a meth head. What?
He shaved his head, and he makes meth.
Hey, he shaved his head. He's got to be a meth head.
Walter doesn't do meth. Guys.
Speaking of shaving heads, like the hair person on that show must have had the easiest job in the world. Everybody in that
shave
show
everyone.
has like a shaved head.
Ted Beneke, he looks like a thumb with like wires on him. Poor guy. He broke his spine being stupid.
Fractured 3 spinal cords.
First of all, they're
He has
vertebrae.
3 spinal cords.
I don't think you
Fractured
can
3
have more than
spines.
one spinal cord.
Hey, you never know. Evolution, it's a thing.
I mean, I guess.
Guys, don't worry. Like, I know what I'm talking about sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, speaking of things that in 3 that get severed, I'm thinking it's about time to end.
Yeah?
We've been talking for a while, and
We
Alright.
have?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's been more than 15 minutes, I know that.
15
We're
minutes.
going on 23.
Ooh,
Oh,
that's crazy. Okay.
I mean,
time flies when you're talking about meth.
methamphetamine. Do it, kids. It'll make you get bees in your teeth.
Bees. A million bees
1 million bees.
that
That
are
are
also
also
on
on
fire,
fire.
Yes.
but somehow did not die.
And
So
if you guys also
look-
haven't seen Headache, you guys
Yeah.
should watch Headache.
Check out Headache. He's got flaming bees and silly voices.
Demon 16. No, Demon 16.
Demon 16, stop it!
Hey.
Well, guys, have a good week. See you next Saturday.
Bye.
Chicken.
Au revoir. Hey,